meeting to order with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
All right, Byron Temple. Mel Blackburn.
Here.
Derek Westfall.
Here.
And Gary Howard.
Here.
The quorum.
Anyone got any questions on the minutes? Not all. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from last month.
Seconded.
It was 2 months ago, last month,
August.
August.
Byron Temple.
Yes.
Kimberly Blackburn.
Yes.
Derek Westfall.
Yes.
And Gary Howard.
Yes.
0.
Okay, if anyone wants to speak on this motion that we have on this on business we have tonight on in either direction, now's the time to be sworn in. Or we'll swear you in.
You all want to stand. Raise your right hands, assuming.
This is petitioner yet, even if you don't speak. Still, this is your only time to speak at any chance, so just raise your hand if they do.
Raise your right hand. Anybody else swear or affirm on the penalty of perjury testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, excellent. If you do choose to speak when you come to the podium, state your first and last name and your address, please. Thank you.
Got any reports or communications of any kind?
I don't know when we want to introduce this, if you want to take into consideration, about potentially getting this in over the times. We have Park Forward, Stormwater Board already. They've got the loan themselves. I don't know if that officially has to, you have to vote on it, or does it need to be brought to a BZA or can it?
You guys approve your annual schedule for next year?
Not, I don't believe for 2026. This would be for the start of January of 2026.
So when you do that, presumably next month, if you guys have a meeting, at that time, you would
Introduce it.
and say we approve schedule, move a meeting to 6.
Okay.
So we would still meet at 7 in January, so if we have a meeting in January, because you'd have to change it before,
Well, if I meet in December,
if we meet in December.
if we meet in December,
Yeah.
then at that point, can I introduce it for the approval of 2026 meeting minutes? Okay. So just something to think about. We are considering it. 7 o'clock is just a,
I'm all for it.
it's okay for all of us. So we just kind of talked inside of town hall, myself and town manager Carmen Young. Just wanted to put that bug in your guys' ear, and I'll bring that to you in December.
Have they always been 6 o'clock or was that a reach?
Short is new to us, so yes. I'm not sure about stormwater. The only other boards, town council meets at 7 o'clock, plan commission meets at 7 o'clock. And I believe redevelopment commission meets at 7 o'clock. But like I said, I just want to see what everybody's thoughts are if we meet at 6 o'clock opposed to 7
Do you have
o'clock.
that plan for the plan commission also, or?
I'd like to.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to case 2025 V09.
Okay, good evening, everybody. In front of you is my staff report for case number 2025 V-09, a development standards variance to reduce the side yard setback and the exterior material requirement. The petitioner, Craig Cook. The proposal tonight is the petitioner is requesting a development standards variance in the Maple Crest subdivision, specifically for the reduction in side yard setback requirements from 12 and 15 feet on each side to 10 feet on both sides. Additionally, the petitioner is requesting to use fiber cement board siding on the exterior portion of the structure. The subject property is located at 19 Maple Street, Loveland, Indiana, 4624. section 2 for Maple Crest subdivision. I've got the zoning review. The current zoning for this property is residential R1. Based off of the zoning language, ordinance 156.054 talks about the yard requirements, specifically number 2, side yard. A 12-foot minimum on one side, 15-foot minimum on the other side, including 27 feet in both side yards, except corner lots where the side yard setback on the side street shall be the same as the front yard setback. And then ordinance 156.057, this is the exterior material requirement for R1 residential, states that single-family dwelling units shall be constructed with exterior finishes consisting of either brick or stone, covering 75% of the aggregate total area of all exterior walls, excluding doors, windows, and associated trim. I have shown you a general idea of where this property is located, just north of the intersection of Maple Street and Whiteland Road, probably a quarter mile west of US 31. The second graphic is the plat that is in my office that shows that lot 19 is 100 feet by 106 feet. It's a little hard to tell, but you've got a 35-foot building setback line in the front, and there is a 5-foot utility strip in the back. There are no utility or drainage easements on the side yard. The next graphic that you have was provided to the staff. This is the conceptual of the single family structure that is being proposed. It's kind of hard to tell, but if you look, he is proposing the layout on the right-hand side that shows the garage. If you see that, you can see the width of the structure, including the garage, is 72 feet. And then the next graphic is the elevations, kind of showing what this structure will end up looking on all sides. Keep in mind that what you're seeing is most likely a fiber cement board exterior. It very well could be vinyl, but ideally they look very similar on a blueprint. The one thing that I do want to point out is the width of this structure is 72 feet. The width of the lot is 100 feet. So technically, the petitioner does have the 27 feet aggregate. The problem that we're running into, and which is why I advised the petitioner to ask for the side yard setback, was because now I only have a foot to play with. And we already have a curb cut on Maple Street. And without having to issue another curb cut off of Maple Street to make sure that he aligns with the zoning, that is one of the requests of the reduction in the side yard setbacks, because of the existing curb cut to match the driveway, so that we can have a little bit more than 12 inches on each side to play with. Like I said, he's got 28 feet right now with a 72-foot wide structure. It's a 100-foot lot, so it could potentially work out, but giving the buffer allows that property to shift a few more feet to make sure that the curb cut aligns with the garage that's there. And then that way the town doesn't have to issue an additional curb cut on an existing residential property. The state standards, a variance from the development standards, which is IC 36-7-4-918.5. A Board of Zoning Appeals shall approve or deny variances from the development standards such as height, bulk, or area of the zoning ordinance. The board may impose reasonable conditions as part of the board's approval. A variance may be approved under this section only upon a determination in writing that the variance to reduce the side yard setback to 10 feet on each side of the structure and utilize fiber cement board siding on the exterior elevation. Number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The petitioner's response, the side yard reduction in the fiber cement board would not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The town's response, the staff agrees with the petitioner's statement. There would be no potential impact to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community, with the aggregate distance between existing structures being greater than 15 feet. Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The petitioner's response, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property will not be negatively affected. The town's response, the staff agrees with the petitioner's statement that this would not have an adverse effect on the surrounding properties. Staff discussed with the town fire marshal, Jason Kephart, regarding the aggregate distance between primary structures. There would be no adverse effect based on the petitioner's request for reduction of or the building material. Number three, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. The petitioner's response, the majority of the existing subdivision was built out in 60 years ago. With the use of fiber cement for the exterior, which is a good building product, does meet the requirement of the zoning ordinance. It would also not match the majority of the existing structures throughout the subdivision. The staff agrees with the petitioner's statement. Fiber cement board is a quality product and a much more lasting product. The overall exterior facade would align with existing structures within the subdivision. Number four, the approval will not impair the adequate supply of light and air to the adjacent properties. The petitioner's response, no, it will not impair supply to light and air. The town's response, there would be no impact to the supply of light and air with the build of the single-family residential structure. Number five, will not increase the hazard from fire, flood, and other dangers to adjacent properties. The petitioner's response, no, it will not. The 19 Maple Street lot, which is the second lot in on Maple Street off of Whiteman Road, is kind of uniquely positioned so that even with some minor encroachments into the specified setbacks, there is still good clearance. The home immediately north of 19 Maple Street would still be separated by a driveway and more than 10 feet of their own green space. The home immediately to the south of 19 Maple Street actually faces Whiteman Road and there is therefore positioned better than a traditional side yard to side yard. The town's response, the staff agrees with the petition statement. The staff sees no increased risk from fire, flood, and other dangers to the adjacent property. Number six, will not increase the congestion in the public places. The petitioner's response, no, it will not increase the congestion. Town's response, staff agrees with the petitioner's statement. There would be no increase in the congestion in public places. Number seven, arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved, and such condition is not due to the general condition of the neighborhood. The petitioner's response, this is a ranch style single-story structure. The minimum lot size for this section is 8,750 square feet. Since I elected to have a single-story structure opposed to a two-story structure, the footprint of the structure takes a larger portion of the lot. The town's response, the staff agrees with the petitioner's statement. In order to comply with the zoning regulation for Maple Crest subdivision, which is R1 residential, and maintain a single-story ranch home for the sake of potentially building this for the petitioner's elderly parents, makes this setback requirement hard to comply with this requirement. Due to the fact that this board is also approved on numerous occasions, fiber cement board for exterior facade, it also makes it peculiar based on the zoning language that only allows brick or stone for exterior facade at minimum coverage 75% or greater. And lastly, unless granted, will constitute an unusual and unnecessary hardship to the property for which the variance is sought. The petitioner's response, it will make it much more difficult to build a home that meets the needs and wants of a family in 2025. At 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, this home is just meeting basic expectations for most homes being built today. The town's response, the staff agrees with the petitioner's statement. This would bring a very attractive product into the town, and based on the language of the zoning requirements, makes this an unnecessary hardship to the property for the proposed build. This gives the petitioner more flexibility with placing the structure on the lot. The staff's recommendation to reduce the side yard setbacks to 10 feet on each side of the structure and utilize fiber cement board siding on the exterior elevation. The staff recommends approval of the petition based on the findings of facts. I do want to make everybody aware, my office was contacted yesterday afternoon with a remonstrator. You should have a 2-page handwritten letter that was dropped off at my office yesterday afternoon. So I will, the remonstrator could not be present here tonight, so I will read that, and upon reading, I'll look into it that anybody might have for me. So the letter states, "To whom it may concern, I am the homeowner of 420 Whiteland Road. I'm asking for my concerns be taken into consideration regarding 19 Maple Street. I'm asking for the side yard requirement to remain in place, the request for a reduction to 10 feet. The garage area of the house will be 9 foot 1 inch from my fence. This makes me feel very crowded. Codes and requirements should be followed by everyone. I am a very private person and never one to tell anyone what they can or cannot do on their property. But as someone who had been told what I can do on my property and cited for a code violation, I feel everyone should be held to the same codes and requirements that are all in place. I do not approve of the setback reduction. It is too close to my fence line in the backyard area. I am unable to attend the hearing because I work night shift. But feel free to reach out to me at the below reference number. I'm not going to read telephone number out loud, but you guys all have that. Thank you. Signed by the remonstrator.
Billy, this is the house that faces Whiteland Road, I assume.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. This is.
Do they have a fence in their side yard?
To a degree, yes, they do. So their house faces to the south. And I believe the fence goes beyond, they aren't platted in this subdivision. So their fence does technically encroach what would be the 35-foot building setback line that starts the second section of Maple Crest subdivision, which is Mr. Koch's property.
So we want to allow a little extra room to move the house a little bit so that we don't have to make a new driveway entrance, basically.
Correct. This gives him at least a little bit more play. One of the things that I had talked to with the petitioner is the petitioner is required to provide me with a plot plan before he ever gets a permit. So I will get a drawing of the lot with the structure as it's proposed to see what that requirement would be. If you guys obviously don't grant the development standards variance for the reduction in the side yard setback, he would be relegated to make sure that he keeps that structure within 15 to 12 feet, which may or may not, without seeing a plot plan here in place, to see where the lining up of it is. By rough guessing, just based off my history as a surveyor and going out on the property to be able to, it's really close as to whether or not we hit that 12 and 15. Like I said, this allows a little bit of flexibility. We're not asking to move the structure a foot from a property line, right? I mean, this is no different than what we have in R2 and R3 residential zoning. And if you look at our R1 neighborhoods that are zoned this way, you're looking at Park Forest, Brunner Ridges. That's a different totality of subdivision that is being proposed tonight. Those are bigger lots that are more custom homes that you don't see as much with this in Maple Crest, which is a little bit of an older subdivision with smaller lots. I mean, I know that when we see the plat and we see 100-foot wide, think that it's fairly big. Again, the petitioner has requested a single-story home with the thoughts that potentially that he does build this for his parents. And then, I mean, he could still get the square footage by going vertical with it, but he wants to keep it. There's not very many 2-story homes in Maple Crest. So that's why we're asking tonight for the reduction to 10 feet. Again, we have other residential zoning districts that I think align more with Maple Crest than R1 does, but that would be the request. Is it gives us a little bit of room to play with, opposed to 12 inches. That's a little tight in the construction world. Again, one thing I do want to point out, what the remonstrator is asking is 9'1" from her fence. Now, I haven't checked the validity of that. Obviously, again, I said that it would be a requirement that the petitioner would have to provide a plot plan before I permitted any structure on the property. So at that time, I could confirm, I mean, that's going to be done by probably a licensed surveyor or a civil engineer to some degree. It has to be stamped. And so that's where I stood with it. He actually has more aggregate distance to the south to the actual primary structure, not to the fence line, than he does to the north. So there is quite a bit of buffer that you have between the totality of two structures, not just necessarily a fence line.
No utilities would be affected at all. There's no, okay.
As well.
Is there anyone online? Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing if no one has any questions. Any questions for
That
Billy?
15 and 12 foot, it doesn't matter which side it is, right?
Just matters one versus the other.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Would the petitioner like to speak?
No, I think Mr. Patrick did a good job of explaining the situation.
Okay. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against it? I don't see anybody else, but who knows? That you come out from behind the door there. I will close the public hearing then. Okay. Session. For one thing, the siding hardy board is basically what it is, an improvement over the siding on most of the houses in the neighborhood there. I think the house will be an improvement to the neighborhood, not a detriment. And as long as it causes no problem with this town getting to their utilities or cause any problems.
One thing I do want to mention, I am actively trying to amend the ordinance. We've met
Yeah,
quite a few times.
I would appreciate that.
Regarding the language of this and what we're obviously seeing, the amount of times that we've met and I presented to you guys. This is what the industry is calling for, right? It's a good product. Mr. Howard obviously has the product on his personal home. It talks for itself. Everybody's using it. So just so we're aware, I am in the works of trying to amend the ordinance to reflect that language, just so we don't have to keep meeting time after time on all
Right.
this.
And the side yard thing too might be something we might want to look at down the line.
Sure.
What else? What was everyone else's opinion? Anyone have any differing opinions from what I just said?
But it actually might fall within the driveway cut, but without having it on a plot. Hard to.
Yeah, so when I went out and marked it, it's really close, like to where I believe I didn't find the property pin at the southwest corner. And so without finding the property pin and trying to utilize fence, which is a terrible way to go about things, it just is. It doesn't represent, it's not indicative of anything. That's where you kind of get to the point to where kind of at 14, kind of could be at 12 and a half,
Right.
to where it just plays. It's not far. That's why the reduction that we're asking for is fairly minimal in this, and it matches other zoning within the town of Whiteland for the R2 and R3 side of it. But that way, at least if it does come to fruition, you guys do deny this variance appeal, that at that point, he does come back with me with a plot plan and shows that the garage doesn't line up with the curb cut. Now I'm faced with saying, all right, well, now I've got to either open the road up again, which is what I don't want to do. Or I say, all right, well, we got to either find a new house plan or something else, or get a different builder that you're asking for. And then, like I said, this just allows a little bit more flexibility than 12 inches, one way or the other.
Billy, I have a question. When were curbs put in that neighborhood?
There are no curbs.
There are no curbs.
There are no curbs.
So when you're talking about curb cut,
Yeah, so what we're talking about, when I say a curb cut, I'm basically meaning that as a drive entrance.
okay.
Just another drive that I'd have to go into the actual right of way and make another stress point. So anytime you cut the roads open, you now basically ask yourself, we maintain all of the public right of way roads. Now I've got a new fail point that isn't required, right? I've already got a pre-existing stub out for the existing drive back in the time when they were. But yes, that's what I refer to as a curb cut, as basically a driveway cut.
And they were probably made in the late fifties, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. So I want to say that originally, I'm trying to think what the date was signed in the plat. I want to say 50s, 60s, somewhere in there. So yeah, it's been there a while.
And they're,
While, and like I said, it's receptive to anytime you cut open a road, you're asking for yourself for water to get in there. And in the conditions that we live in the Midwest, freeze thaw, and eventually it becomes a maintenance problem that the town has to correct. And then we have to stay on top of unless we get some type of grant or something and we decide to pave roads. That's kind of what we're trying to avoid at this point.
That looks like 52.
I have one other comment. Stephen had mentioned to me that your old, looks like they were adopted in 1970, BZA rules, powers and duties, in your ordinances, code of ordinances says that has a little bit of a different standard than statute, which is fine, but it says, and I'm going to read it to you. Authorize on appeal in specific cases such variances, which is what we're doing here, from the terms of the ordinance as will not be contrary to the public interest where owing to special conditions demonstrated presented a literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance will hardship, which talked about, but a little bit modified here, so that the spirit of the ordinance shall be observed and substantial justice done. So consider that when you're discussing.
okay. Everybody understand that? Any more questions? Well, I'd like to make a recommendation that we approve the petition based on the findings of fact that we have learned tonight.
I'll second that.
Hiram Temple,
Yes.
Blackburn,
Approved.
Derek Westfall,
Yes.
and Gary Howard.
Yes.
All right, I'll forward it 0.
Any more news? No, sir. Okay. Okay, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You owe me an email. On a separate.
Oh, yes, yeah. You got her
There are the minutes. Oh,
phone.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get into the account to get